Women's rights. If you remember in US 1 when we talked about Susan B. Anthony, you'll remember a story where Susan B. Anthony went to vote, even though it was illegal for her to vote as a woman. And she was willing to go to jail over it. And they said, okay, we'll let you out if you pay $100 fine. She said, nope, not paying it. This is an immoral law, and I'm not going to obey anything about it. You put me in jail, whatever, but I'm not going to pay a fine and admit my guilt. And so this is where a lot of the women's rights movements in America really gets going. People credit Susan B. Anthony for doing so much great work to get this ball rolling. And so if you remember, after World War II, women go back home, they leave their jobs, and some women try to get back into jobs, but they find themselves lower paid jobs. They're not prioritized in the workforce. I would have to imagine that the businesses would expect that the women would leave to have babies or get married or yeah, it was very unpredictable, whereas men were much more predictable, that they could go up through the company and that they're going to be there the entire time. And so women started being discriminated against in the workforce. They were paid less, they were given less opportunities. And so organizations started popping up like now, the National Organization for Women, to try to raise awareness of the problems that women were facing, especially at work. They fought against discrimination in hiring, pay inequity, domestic violence against women, also making a priority to get women into elected office so that they would have a voice. Women will trust another woman in public office to try to get these issues resolved. One of the big areas of this fight was the Equal Rights Amendment. And the Equal Rights Amendment was to try to guarantee rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on the account of sex. So women had to be treated exactly like men. Men had to be treated exactly like women. And some people started saying, well, wait a minute, does that mean that women will have to register for the draft and go to war? What will this mean for restrooms? Will people be required to have one restroom instead of men's and women's? And so a lot of these issues popped up, and people started asking questions. And a lot of states, especially in the South and all the way up through Illinois and out west, did not ratify it. All these white states here did ratify what would have been the 27th Amendment. So it just barely fell short by the deadline in 1982. And so the Equal Rights Amendment went by the wayside. And in 2020, Virginia did ratify it, even though it's way too late to do so. But people are saying, well, wait a second, we've got enough states here to ratify what would now be the 28th Amendment to get equal rights based on gender or sex. So that's going to probably be an issue that we're going to be talking about in the next couple of years. Then we get to Title IX. This is a program that is designed to help women get into sports. A lot of times people were against women getting into sports. They were afraid they were going to get hurt, that it just wasn't a good idea for girls to get involved in sports. And so Title IX was trying to reverse that, to make sure that schools, these places would give equal opportunities to women, so that for every male sport they had at a school, they would have to have a female sport to balance it out and give women just as many opportunities to play sports in school. And then a lot of these things, I mean, if you watch college basketball, women's sports has come a tremendous way. The NCAA tournament for basketball is talked about, not as much as the men's tournament, but the gap has been closing over the past, I would say, 20, 30 years. Women are not all the way there yet, according to this book. They say that 80 cents for every dollar that a man earns is still going on. I'd like to take a closer look at that and see where this is all happening. But clearly, this is a battle that's going to go on for a very long time between men and women. Exactly how we're going to resolve these things and make things equal for all people.